In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I took the Fire King structure deck and absolutely destroyed my locals. Of course, guys, there's only one day left of the giveaway, and you guys can win an absolutely crazy map, guys, so please go ahead and check it out. And as always, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I'm more than just a content creator, I'm a duelist. And without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so now quickly getting into the deck file. I'm sure this is what a lot of people have been asking for, guys. I have the cards right here. So, of course, starting off with the main starters of the deck, or I guess like the main card of the deck, it's going to be Legendary King Ponix or Fire King Ponix. Now this card's crazy in what he does. On summon adds a spell or trap. That's a Fire King card, which is really important, especially because like you have to have the proper targets for it. In testing, it did come up where I needed additional names, so decide to play it as such. The other effect is if a card is popped, you can go ahead and summon it from your hand. Again, remember that if you have specific cards that trigger in hand, you can only use one of those effects. So something to really note importantly, I feel like that's kind of a ruling that's going to be a lot more popularized now. But and then the other effect is if it's popped during the time phase, get it. Like Ponix was going in for me, being able to constantly get this card to your hand or constantly summon it and then destroy it and get it back and then summon it again. Like you're constantly searching, so it's important to have multiple search targets. But speaking of I guess like another card that pairs very well with Ponix, we are playing triple Fire King High After Akira. Now this is the Sharvar of the deck. This is how we dodge infinite impermanence, effect veiler, forbidden droplets, things of that nature, depending on whatever our opponent has. There were actually a lot of instances where I would go normal summon Ponix, they'd go effect veiler, and I would just go chain Kieran, and you just pop the Ponix, summon this, Ponix would resolve to get your Fire King Island or your Sanctuary or whatever you need, and you just end up comboing from there. So that's the main effect. And then the other effect is like kind of like how we don't use all of our disruptions right away, is if he's destroyed, you can special summon a Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard, and then you can destroy one card. And again, remember that the destruction of that card is all one effect. So it's important to note that, because if, say, for example, I destroy Kieran in my graveyard and I have a Ponix in graveyard, I'll be like, Kieran effect to summon a Fire King, non-targeting, of course. My opponent doesn't respond to it. I can summon out the Fire King Ponix and then I can destroy it. So there were a lot of instances where like I would pop a Kieran, I'd go like Kieran effect to special summon. They're like, yeah, that's fine. I'd summon Ponix and I would pop like a Sprite Smashers, a Fenrir, a Salmon Great Rage, Roar, things of that nature. Like a tier element monster like a Grapha as well. So it was very important in that regard. Like the Kieran effect is really underrated. Like you have to play this card at 3 because literally I want to see it in my opening hand. I want to draw into it. I want to do the best I can when playing it. But that's it for like the 3 ofs, I would say. Now moving on to the 2 of, and this is a card that I decided to recently put at 2. What is going to be Sacred Fire King Garunic. So initially I was actually here. Let me move all these cards for you guys so you can see it a little better. Initially I was going to play Garunics at 1, but because there's a lot of D Crow running around in the format with decks like Tier Element, Unchained, I just didn't want to lose it, especially because like people won't know what to side against this deck for now, so I just feel like they would just throw in DD Crow because they see a lot of graveyard effects. So I didn't want to end up losing my 1 Garunix to DD Crow. It's a lot different than the Shayama or the Blue Dog, because the Blue Dog, it's only ever summoning out of the graveyard with its own effect, whereas Garunix, you have multiple ways of getting this card out. So like, for example, if we have Garunix in grave, we go Garunix effect, and they go like, oh, Ghost Bell or Ash Ball or whatever can negate it. We can actually use Kieran. Kieran will pop itself, and then Kieran's effect will trigger to go ahead and summon Garunix. Garunix can summon, pop a card because of Kieran, and then we can go ahead and use Garunix's effect to destroy like something else and continue playing through that. So it's really good. This card's crazy. I would definitely not cut it down for sure. Just this card's just crazy in what it does. Like there's just too much nonsense that it enables, especially like when you already have like your resource loop. Like the main loop you want is, as long as you have these 3 cards in rotation, you basically win the game. In theory, right? Because Garunix will constantly be looping. Garunix can dump Kieran. Kieran will get you a pop, and then the pop will also be Phoenix, who can go ahead and add you. So there's like constant resource loops in this deck. And again, it's not a full combo deck. It's more like Unchained, where you want to just kind of trade resources with your opponent. And as long as you have Garunix constantly looping, it gets absolutely crazy. So definitely, yeah, Garunix. Definitely don't play that card at 2. You're trolling if you play that, or at 1. Sorry, you're trolling if you play that 1. But now moving on to the Beast Warriors. So this is kind of like a weird ratio, I would say. So I have the 1 Barong and I have the 1 Rung Bali, and then I have the double Arvada. So I was thinking about playing 3 Arvada, but I felt like I definitely was opening it a little bit too much, and there are a lot of instances where like you want more non-engine in your hands, and you just want to be able to get like the 1 to 2 card combos. You don't want to have too many cards, because like a lot of the instances, if Arvada is the only fire, you need to pop Arvada. And I know it's fine because if Arvada is in the graveyard, it gives you like a lot of cool reborn lines and stuff, but I just couldn't see myself playing this card at 3. Like I wanted more versatility in what I could have or what I could search. But 2 Arvada is necessary for sure in the grind game. That's why I didn't play it at 1. Like I definitely would not recommend this. I think in my opinion, you absolutely need to be playing 2 Arvada at the minimum, right? Because If you go through one during your first turn, Garunix can pop Arvada during the second turn, reborn a card. And there's a really nasty play with like Arvada where you pop Arvada, use Arvada to reborn Barong, and then when Barong gets destroyed off Arvada's effect, because when Arvada reborns, it's negated and it's destroyed, Barong can trigger in the standby phase, so you can get another card. So it's absolutely crazy. And then Rung Bali is really good for like OTKs. He's also really good for follow-up disruption. Like there's a lot of instances where like you can pop your own card with like Kieran, or like they end up like disrupting your board, you summon Rung Bali, then Rung Bali can destroy one other, so you can like Rung Bali pop a Kieran, or Rung Bali pop something else, and then just continue playing through there. So he's really good. So again, monster negate, spell trap negate, and then Barong is like the quote-unquote break, but there's actually a nasty combo that not a lot of people know. You know, like 6 disruptions. Like I can talk about it later if people ask enough for it. But yeah, so Barong is really good, absolutely mandatory, because a lot of the plays you'll be going summon Garunix effect, pop the Barong, then during the standby phase you can go ahead and use it to go ahead and add your Kieran to hand. So again, like I said before, if you have Ponix, Garunix, and Kieran in rotation, it doesn't matter, like you're always going to win the game. Another really important effect to note is, although Kieran negate or summons and doesn't negate, Arvada does negate, so that's something to remember as well. Because like you don't want to summon a monster that you need the effect. Like you don't want to summon Ponix off Arvada, specifically because its effects are negated. So like you want to use it to summon like a Brong or something with like another high level, so then you can XYZ summon with it where you don't need the effect. But that's something to note. Unfortunately, Rung Bali doesn't have a destruction effect, but he does have a nice effect where if a card or like a fire monster you control is destroyed, you can summon them from hand. Again, you can't do it with Garunix. But yeah, that's it for that. In terms of the ratios, I don't think I struggled at all. Maybe the third Arvada does come up actually when you're going second. The third Arvada is really good because you can like normal summon Arvada, and it's kind of like Amano Iwata where like, or Kokimura Guardian, where like your opponent kind of has to play around knowing that the Arvada is there. And even if you don't have a fire monster, the potential of having Arvada is just crazy. So yeah, so that's it for that ratio right there. And then that was it for like the main Fire King ratio, I would say. Moving on to the next engines, we're playing triple Fenrir, and we're playing the 1 Riseheart. Again, Riseheart is just crazy. I think Fenrir is a card that like needs to go to 1, in my personal opinion, especially like one decks like this, for example, this and Infernoble. Like I'm playing Fenrir as a board breaker, but I'm also playing Fenrir as like a pseudo starter because I have Riseheart. So I can go Fenrir, add Riseheart, Fire King Island, pop the Riseheart, get Garunix, summon Garunix, and then I kind of have like a pseudo play going on. So it works very well in that regard because like you can get Ponix, normal summon Ponix, and you end up having like a pretty decent play. So there's a lot of disruption that you can do. Like alternatively, against tier element, it's like funny. Like you can go Fenrir, add Riseheart, normal Riseheart, use the effect, banish the Fenrir, and like hope you hit one of their names or something. It's like really sacky, but I mean it also helps like when you get hand trap. Just being able to end on a Fenrir, you do end up having kind of disruptions, especially because this is a mid-range deck like I was saying before. You have all sorts of hand traps and like weird disruptions, so like Fenrir is really problematic, and again it helps with the go second like tremendously. So I definitely recommend this. And again, Riseheart's an easy side out worst case scenario, so like I wouldn't be like too upset if you guys didn't want to play it at all, but in my opinion I think Fenrir needs to be in every single deck. Like the card is way too good. And then of course guys, you saw level 1 fire, so I'm playing the DBL Star. I thought about playing 2 honestly because it technically ups consistency, and there was a lot of like free cards that you can send with this card. It just felt like currently I just wanted to play the 1 DBL Star and test how it is, and then maybe in testing later on I will change. I wish this card was a level 8. That's just like the only thing. Like this card and Fenrir, if they're level 8s it'd be a lot better. But that's it for like the monster engine, in terms of like the main engine, in terms of like what I don't even know, I can't talk right now, in terms of like what you want to push like your boards. Now we're going into the Handtraps. So again, triple Ash Blossom, this card is crazy, but it's also even crazier in Fire King because it's a fire monster. You can actually Fire King, Island pop Ash Blossom, add Garunix and start playing, or pop this and whatever, so you know what I mean. And then speaking of more hand traps, we're playing triple Effect Veiler, because in my opinion you need to be playing triple Effect Veiler. And then we are playing double Nibiru. Nibiru is going in for me. The reason why I'm on Nibiru is because like Nib, Veiler, and Imperm are like crazy right now, especially because game 1s you can steal a lot of games. You also have like a lot of very cool interactions where like you can nuke your board, so all of your destruction effects have triggered already, and then when you nib your opponent, you're only nibbing like 1 monster on your field plus multiple on their field. So then when you summon nib, you have like 14 different graveyard triggers. You can also go like say for example like you nuke your board, and then you end up having a bunch of trigger effects. You can go like chain link 1, chain link 2, chain link 3, and then you can go chain link 4 nib. So nib will nuke the board, and then all your trigger effects will end up summoning the monsters out, so you don't have an empty board. And if like you pop like a Barong, things that nature works really well. Another funny interaction is nib and Diabellstar. So I was playing in Salmon Great Guy. It got into like a very grindy game with like hand traps and stuff, and that's something that this deck wants to do. So I summoned Diabellstar. He negated it, I swung, I went past, he ended up drawing like Salmon Great Gazelle, so he ended up playing. I nibbed him, and because I had Diabellstar on the board, Diabellstar says when it's sent from the hand or field during your opponent's turn, you reborn her. So I nibbed, Diabellstar got destroyed, and then Diabellstar came back, I had a Snake Eye, and again I OTK'd under 5 summons, so like he had no chance of nibbering me back. So it is really good. Like this card's crazy, especially like it's basically a meme card. Like people just say like play around nib, but they don't really play around nib, so it's very punishable. It's a really good card, especially when people play ignorant. To the fact, that's for the monster guys. I don't know what number count I'm at personally. I have my deck list somewhere, but then moving on to the new card. So we are playing triple Fire King Sanctuary. I was thinking about playing 2, but personally there's a very important combo where if you just open Kieran Ponix and you don't get impermed, so if you hard open Fire King Sanctuary, you don't need to search Fire King Sanctuary off of Ponix. You can go ahead and search multiple disruptions or extenders. So that's why I feel like it's really good to like hard open this card, especially because like you need this card for like your main arguably source of disruption. There's a lot of plays that like you can use this card, and I'll show you in the extra deck as well. But 2 Sanctuary followed by 2 Fire King Island. There were some instances where like I was like, man, I should really be playing 3 of this card, 'cause like I want to open Fire King Island, but it's not that good. Sanctuary is like the main reason why you get it, because like you go Ponix into Sanctuary, or Sanctuary into Fire King Island pop, get Grunix dump, you know what I mean? So that's like full combo. So Fire King Island still is really good on itself. It's just that because you don't have the disruption, I want to open the disruption as well, and this was like it was just too good for me to play, honestly, like for me to not to play, sorry. So that's why you wanted to play that. And then moving on to some more Fire King cards. So again, like I was saying, Ponix is always searching, so you want multiple targets in the deck. So we are playing the 1 Fire King Skyburn and the 1 Circle of the Fire Kings. So I'll talk about Skyburn first. This card's good, but I don't know if I would main it moving forward, just because I'm always searching Circle of the Fire Kings, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But this card is really good against backrow decks, so maybe side decking is pretty good, because it says target an equal number of Fire King cards and then that many cards your opponent controls and destroy them both. So again, we want our cards destroyed, they don't, so it's really good. Also helps us go second, play against multiple disruptions, things of that nature. But it is really good when you go second. That's the only issue, because if you go like normal Ponix and they go effect, and you go Fire King Skyburn, you pop, so you traded 1 card, 2 cards, so you go 0 against our opponent, so it is really good. Circle Fire King is like the main way how I'm OTKing, how I'm playing around Handtraps, things of that nature, because it says target 1 fire monster you control, 1 in your graveyard, pop the fire monster and reborn. So that's how we trigger Grunix a lot. Also, like we have Rise Hearts, we have Ash Blossom, so like we can, this card's always live, especially in the grind game. Like I never want to use this first, but one really important interaction that you guys need to know is you can actually OTK under nib very powerfully. So like let's say for example we go like Fire King Island, like we pop Grunix, and like our board is like this idiot, this, and let's say it's like a Kieran Engrave. And then if we have like 1 more monster engrave, like a Arvada or something, the OTK potential here is like really strong, because usually it's like you want to go attack, Circle of Fire Kings, or like let's say it's like this, right? You go like Circle of Fire Kings, you go attack, so that's 33, I think, 29. Circle of Fire Kings, you pop the Kieran, and in battle phase, Grunix will summon himself out. So you go Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2 because Kieran pops. So then you'll summon this, and then Grunix will dump. So they already took 29, and then Grunix dumps another Kieran, or like another card and things of that nature. So then it goes to 39. So 39, 29, 60 plus this 70, 80, right? So it's a full OTK. So I was pulling that off a lot. I feel like it was a very underrated effect that like not a lot of people really saw coming, honestly. And that was the reason why like I could steal OTK, especially because like Grunix hidden ability is that when he sends, he gains attack, right? So it's really good. I definitely think that you should be playing Circle of Fire Kings. Like this card's crazy. Don't play the other names or anything like that, like Onslaught or whatever. Like it's just Circle and Skyburn. Then of course, because you're playing the Wanted engine, why would I not play the Wanted package? Like there's not much to say about it. I'm sure you guys noticed I'm not on like Snake Eye, Ash, or Flamberge. I just felt like in my previous deck files as well, like I said, they're good, but they're bricks right now. Maybe they'll get a little better when you get like Populous and stuff like that, but as of now, like just don't play them, like it's not good. Too tanky, this is questionable for sure. My 41st card was Arvada. I'm at a 41 card deck. My 41st card was the second Arvada, because in testing the second one always came up. I feel like seeing tanky is really nice, especially with Wanted and Diabellstar, because you have like free sends in that regard. There's also like a pretty cool card in my extra deck I'll tell you guys about later on that like works very well with tanky, so that's why I decided to play it. It's an easy side out as well. I just didn't want to go to 42 with 2 tanky, or 3 tanky, sorry. You can sue me if you want. I just felt like I was like my hands were clogging on tanky, even though tanky Fire King Island is full combo. I just felt like having tanky, 2 tanky, and then having the 4 beast warriors was like a good enough ratio to see at least 1 in my hand. So it's 6 and a 5, so at least see 1 in my hand and still be able to combo off and play through disruptions. And then of course round off the deck profile, we were playing triple infinite impermanence again, so you guys can see like the hand traps, it's no joke, right? Especially the non-engine. So let's quickly go through it right now. We have 3, and then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Whoops, not Arvada. We have 14 go second cards. Literally, the purpose of the deck is to slow down our opponent to the best of our ability, and then we summon our board breaking monsters, and we end up just OTKing through it. Like, I literally played against a full sprite board where like our opponent had like the full Brave Engine. He had Sprite Smashers, he had Starters to summon the red, he had an Ash Blossom as well, and then he had like a Gigantic Sprite, he had Sprint, he had IP Masquerena as well, and I fully OTK'd him because I had Fenrir Arvada. Because literally these two cards are crazy against that board, because Arvada puts the threat like, oh man, he probably has it. So I go special Fenrir, I go summon Arvada, then go Fenrir effect, and he's like, oh, you know what, maybe I should stop that, whatever. So like random hand traps start getting thrown because they don't know what's happening. Fenrir banished, they go chain, I go chain Arvada, and you just take apart boards like that. It's absolutely crazy in what it does, especially like when you destroy and then you summon a Garunix and a Kirin. So the go second is very powerful in the deck. So again, guys, that's it for the main deck, guys. I'm rocking a cool 41 like I said before. Let me know what you guys would change. You can technically cut the Arvada down, but I wouldn't recommend it in my personal opinion. But then moving on to the side deck, it'll just be really quick. Triple Droll, I feel like you need to be side decking this card in the metagame, side deck or main. I just chose not to main it because there's like a lot of Unchained Chairman in my locals, and like Labyrinth, and like Droll's not that good. Crow, Fire King matchup, it's okay in the Fire King matchup, honestly. It's good against Tier, Unchained, Purely. It's just like good against like Labyrinth as well. Just anything to like cover matchups I want to play. And then of course I have the third nib because like why not, because like you want to be able to play it. The one Call by the Grave, this was like my 15th slot, like it could be whatever you want. The one Handtraps because like board breakers are crazy. And then we're playing the Triple Cosmic Cyclone, so cover Centurion similar to Handtraps, cover Centurion as well. Call by technically cover Centurion because like you call by Emmet. And then Handtraps, yeah, and then Triple Cyclone, and then the what is it called, Backward Destruction. So I think it's pretty well rounded side deck. It works very well in tandem with like the main deck as well, because like you end up siding into like 16, 17, almost 20 go second cards, and those 20 go second cards work very well, especially like you have like a 1 to 2 card combo, right? And then moving on to the extra, guys, and this is kind of where, in my opinion, I think Fire King strives the most. And I think that the way you play your extra deck and how you kind of manipulate your plays to get into your extra deck is kind of what sets like a good Fire King duelist away from like a really good one. So of course we have the one Link Creeple because this card's really important in like a lot of your combos, and then we have the one Almiraj. So Almiraj is also a really good card. This card actually came up when I went and I normal summon my Effect Veiler. You can go Effect Veiler into Almiraj, and then you have a fire monster, so you can go ahead and Fire King pop it. So Almiraj is really good. Then Link Creeple, I'm not playing Anima, it never came up in my opinion, especially in testing, especially because like Link Creeple is constantly coming back, so he's really good. And then Almiraj, just he's really important to get the fire monster in grave, because there's a combo where you summon Ponix, you link Ponix away into Almiraj, then you use Fire King Island, pop another fire monster, summon Garunix and Kirin, then you go Kirin away into another fire monster, then you go Almiraj and Kirin away into Sunlight Wolf, Link Creeple under Sunlight Wolf, add back the Kirin and go into Heat Soul. There's a combo on my video like somewhere, I'll put it like up here or whatever. But that's it for the Link 1s, guys. We're playing the one Almiraj and the one Link Creeple. And then moving on, guys, for the Link 2s, we are playing the one IP, one SP. There's a lot of cool interaction with this deck where like you just end on an IP Masquerena, and then like during our opponent's turn we end up summoning a bunch of monsters. Then we can IP away into SP Lil Knight, then use SP banish, and then banish them away, and then summon the big Garunix nuke the board, SP comes back. You know what I mean? So it's pretty legit in that regard. But then another really important and kind of one of the main reasons I want to play this deck is play so many Link 2. So again, Heater's really good because like Infernoble, Rescue Ace, this deck, there's Infernoid, like whatever you want to play against, it's really good in that regard. And then we have the Doodle Chimera. So Doodle Chimera is also another thing. Shout out to that one viewer, I can't remember your name unfortunately, but Doodle is really good because if you just have two monsters, you link them into Doodle, and then you Kirin pop the Doolittle or whatever, and then Doodle can get you follow-up play for next turn. So it's really good. And then of course, like I said before, there was the Sunlight Wolf play. So like I said before, you end up having like a Kirin Ponix and like a Garunix, or sorry, Almiraj and Garunix. So you link those two away into a Sunlight Wolf, and then you go right directly under into Link Creeple. Sunlight Wolf triggers, so you end up getting your follow-up card for next turn, which is like a Kirin or whatever you need, like a Garunix or whatever, and then you end up playing through there and make a Heat Soul. So it is really good. But then the main card I was telling you guys about in like the sauce is going to be Firefighting Dromedal. So this card is really good, especially off the interaction. Like I said before, I need to grab my main deck just to show you guys how like important this combo is, and then shout out my fire sleeves. But one of the main reasons is Dromedal gains 100 attack for each like beast, warrior, or wing beast on the field. So he'll break randomly go to like 17, 18. He also has another effect where like if he destroys a monster by battle, you can get a card that's banished or in your graveyard to your hand. So like if they crowed your Garunix, things of that nature. So it works very well. And then again, he has also the other effect where it's like similar to like Scrap Dragon, where you can pop a spell trap and then pop another one our opponent controls. But something important to note, guys, is if you have Fire King Sanctuary on the board, it can protect your Fire King Island, right? So let's say, for example, we have like a Kieran, and we have like a Pawnik, and we have like a Garunix, and like, you know what I mean? We can go ahead and use Durumidal effect to target the Fire King Island, a card our opponent controls. It resolves. Fire King Island will be protected by Sanctuary. Sanctuary will end up destroying a card from our hand. They still lose their card because Durumidal says destroy them, not both of them. And then Kieran can trigger on a separate chain to summon to pop another card, and then we can link these three away, and you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about, right? Where we end up just like full comboing our opponent through like all sorts of disruptions. So again, like I said, for the side deck and kind of like your order of operations, very important in this deck. That's why I like it. I think it rewards like good skill expression. But then moving on, guys, of course you're playing the one Heat Soul, like I said, for Sunlight Wolf and Link Creepo into Heat Soul. Heat Soul draw 15 million cards, and I'm picking like one of those like CRs or whatever. It looks pretty nice. Yeah, I was making this card all the time, honestly. I feel like going to Heat Soul, draw one is just like way too good, especially during opponent's turn. We draw another. You guys see all the hand traps and all the applications, like Ash, Veiler, Nib. Any of those cards are really good. Even if I draw an Imperm, it's not that bad because like I can clear this monster off the board and I can set like an Imperm, so it's not too bad. But again, Heat Soul is like really good in the deck. It's like the pseudo boss monster. But another card that in theory is absolutely crazy is going to be Blackluster, Soldier of Chaos. Now this is really good against the backward decks, especially because like we always have 3 monsters on the board, and sometimes it's not worth it to go into Heat Soul because like they might just have too much, right? So if we make Soldier Chaos, we attack a monster, he goes to 45, can't be targeted, can't be destroyed with card effects if you use a level 7 or higher. And again, we have multiple level 7s. We got Fenrirs, we got Diabell Stars, we got all of our Fire Kings, our higher Fire Kings as well. So you make this guy, he attacks, he goes 45, can't be targeted, can't be destroyed by card effects, he becomes Dragoon. Then once he gets to 45, you start attacking, you start banishing cards, you start attacking. You use it so he can attack twice again, so he starts attacking. So he's a crazy boss monster. And then moving on to the Link 4s, it's one Appaloosa. Unchained and Tier are very bad matchups, so when you have IP Masquerade, like I was saying, you can go ahead and use IP, and then IP can go IP plus 2 monsters, because like you don't really want to pop a lot of their cards, so you want to go IP plus 2 of the monsters away into the Appaloosa. And now it can be destroyed by card effects, so it's very good against Unchained. And then on top of that, you just hold your other disruptions in your hand, so like your Kieran, your Garunix, you use all of that later when they threaten your Appaloosa, and you pop the card that they're going to attack with, because Appaloosa can negate, because it's still only going to be 24, so it's not that strong, especially after you negate 1. So being able to just like make sure your Appaloosa sticks is very important. So and then a lot of instances I'm like, why would I make Appaloosa when I could just make Amblowell? There are very specific interactions with Amblowell, but I don't really like making this turn 1 because I feel like I play into Nib too much. So in the grind game, Amblowell is good. When he's popped, you can reborn a Link 2 or sorry, Link 3 or lower. So like usually what you want to do is you want to reborn like a Sunlight Wolf. And like the main play is like, say for example you have like a Kieran, you like Kieran pop this, summon this away, go into a Sunlight Wolf, and you put Sunlight Wolf under like the extra monster zone here. So when you end up summoning to the extra monster zone, Sunlight Wolf can trigger to add back. So it's really good in that regard. That's why I decided to play it. And then he also has the effect where like if a Link 3 or lower monster is destroyed, you can banish and pop a card, and that's just any Link 3. It's not just your own. So like if you destroy your opponent's monster and this card's in the graveyard, you can banish and destroy a card. So Amblowell is really good in that regard as well. So yeah, and then moving on to the last extra deck cards, guys. We're playing the one Garunix or the high Garunix. The second one never came up in my opinion. You absolutely can make space for this if you want. I just felt like in a lot of instances this card was just like way better in what it did. Like if this card actually sees someone destroy all other monsters on the board, and then when he's destroyed, you reborn cards up to the number of materials he has, non-targeting. So you get like a lot of reborn effects, destruction effects, whatever. Then he also has the effect where you can detach and pop one, then he gains 5 in attack. I wish the detach was quick effect, but it would be too much. But that's it for the one Garunix. Now I'm playing the one Dingirsu. Dingirsu is just really good. This is probably the card that you can cut for the second high Garunix or Garunix Eternity. I just felt like Dingirsu is really good, especially when you go second like into a big board. Like I ended up summoning like a bunch of monsters. Like beta negate summon Dingirsu non-targeting Send, because this is how we out like a lot of like untargetable problematic monsters. So it was like non-targeting Send, and then we just like attack. It is really good as well because like if you have Fire King Island on the board, and like let's say for example I like Snake Eyed. So yeah, this actually happened. I Snake Eyed sent Fire King Island. I summoned Onyx. Fire King Island mandatory to destroy the board. Dingirsu detached to protect. Right, so it's really good. And then to pair it off, we play the one Typhon. Star Slayer, Doomstar works very well, especially against like big decks like Infernoble, things of that nature. And that's one of the main reason why I like Dingirsu over Zeus. Zeus has the Antra synergy because if Zeus nukes the board, Fire King Island goes and Zeus dies. Whereas if I go Dingirsu, I can go Dingirsu attack and then throw in Typhon. Now Typhon has 3 materials, so I detach, bounce 1, bounce 1, bounce 1. So it's really good in that regard. But that's it for the extra guys. The cards I would say that are like our tech cards are like Dulo Chimera, Durumidal, Blackluster Soldier, Appaloosa, and like Dingirsu. These cards you can always substitute for something else. I'm not on Prosperity, I'm not in any of that as well. So again, like you can definitely fit these cards somewhere else, but in my opinion, anything else can't be cut. Again, guys, let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any comments, any suggestions in the deck profile, let me know, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. My name's Hamza. Like I always say, guys, keep on shining, never on dreams. Peace.